So, but as far as training camp for anybody in the area and they're really thinking about going to training camp, give them a couple of positions that you think that they should be keeping an eye on as far as good, and not just maybe training camp, but I'll say with preseason game coming up, what positions should they be keeping an eye on for some really good battles? I know some you may not see in the preseason, but some you might see at training camp.
Yeah, well, I think Kevin O'Connell confirmed yesterday that J.J. McCarthy is going to play on Saturday in their preseason game.
Okay.
We don't know how much, but I'm assuming it won't be any more than a quarter after, because last year he played one preseason game and tore his MCL, so I don't think they want to do that again. And there's also a lot more riding on him being healthy this year than last year. So he's going to play, and then I think quarterback-wise, if people are at camp or at the preseason game on Saturday, keeping an eye on the backup quarterback battle seems to be more interesting because reports from a bunch of people who are at camp, whether it's Alec Lewis from The Athletic or Kevin Seifert from ESPN or Ben Gessling from Star Tribune, like a lot of them are saying that the backup quarterback battle has been pretty underwhelming, and that's between Sam Howell and Brett Rippon, who are not exactly names that are gonna light you up when you see them. But then there's Max Brosmer too, who's an undrafted free agent rookie out of Minnesota. He's actually it sounds like he's looked impressive given the reps that he's had during his time on the field. So the backup quarterback battle is definitely something to keep an eye on. There's been even some chatter of, the backup might not even be on the roster at this point because the Vikings a couple years ago, I think it was 2022, Kevin O'Connell's first season, they had Kellen Mond and they had Sean Mannion, and both of them just were terrible in the preseason. So the Vikings went out and traded for Nick Mullins from the Raiders, and he ended up being their backup for like the last 2 or 3 years. So I could see something similar happening before the season this year, whether someone gets cut or they make a small trade for somebody. I could see that potentially happening because J.J. McCarthy, he doesn't have a history of getting injured all the time, but he is coming off a notable knee injury. I wouldn't say it's too serious. His MCL these days are not as serious as maybe they used to be. And then as far as running backs go, I would fans should pay attention to the RB3 battle because I'm pretty sure Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason have those 1 and 2 slots locked up pretty good, and those are kind of more 1A and 1B anyways. It sounds like they want to get a pretty even share of reps for both those guys, at least starting in the season. They'll see how that goes. But
so you think Mason, when it's all said and done for fantasy viewers out there, you think Mason will end up with what, close to 40% compared to Jones only?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think that's a good number to use.
Okay.
I actually I drafted Jordan Mason for fantasy over Aaron Jones because I'm thinking of the goal line carries, and I think he's going to be who they turn to in the goal line because he's more of a bigger physical.
Oh, that'll be irritating for Aaron Jones fans.
What do they call it, like vulturing or whatever?
I had him last year, so I know that. Yes, that's how I felt several times. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an area they struggled in last year. I don't know if you remember the Lions game on Sunday Night Football, the last game of the year, where like the Vikings' first couple drives, they got in the red zone like their first 4 drives, and they only came away with like 6 points. So that's something that's been on their mind ever since. But RB3, it sounds like Xavier Scott has been looking pretty decent compared to Ty Chandler. Not that Chandler's done anything bad in camp, but he's just been not what the Vikings would like from a third running back in terms of pass protection, catching out of the backfield, running, and all the things you need to do as a running back. But I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's Ty Chandler in 2022, 23, 24. So Ty Chandler's in the last year of his contract anyways. So they need to find someone to be that RB3 anyway. So Xavier Scott seems to be someone to definitely pay attention to in the preseason.
Okay.
We'll go to tight ends. I don't believe TJ Hawkins is going to be playing in the preseason game on Saturday. He suffered what Kevin O'Connell described as a hip, leg, back injury. Really specific on Saturday's practice. He had to leave early, but sounds like he's okay. Just some nicks and bruises here. But I don't even know if Josh Oliver is going to play. But they just signed Nick Vannett, who's been in the league for, I don't know, 10 years, 12 years. Former third-round pick of the Seahawks. And then Gavin Bartholomew still on the PUP list with, sounds like a pretty notable back injury. So I'm not even sure if he'll play. I'm going to think he's going to be on the PUP list or injury reserve to start the season. So the way it sounds.
And when you're a rookie tight end, that's like
yeah,
redshirting almost.
Yeah, that's a tough position to come in and start a week before the season starts. So yeah, and there's a lot of good, interesting players to look at, like Ben Yurosek from he played for Stanford,
Georgia.
Stanford
and Georgia. Yeah,
that's right. Well, yeah. So I wasn't wrong. So
no.
but those are some guys to keep an eye on. And then offensive line, I'm going to Donovan Jackson might be out there. I don't know, because he's slated to be a starter for week 1. I don't know if they want to risk that.
Okay.
Darrisaw,
there is no competition with Brandel.
No. Donovan Jackson's been, I'm pretty sure, taking all the first team reps at left guard. So that's from day one. So there's no competition. Pretty much all the other starters will probably be sitting. Darrisaw just returned to team drills, which is a great sign for him to start week 1, but I don't think he'll be playing in the preseason. I think center is probably the position to keep an eye on with Michael Juergens, because with Ryan Kelly, I think the Vikings can get out of his contract next year without enduring any sort of cap penalty. So if they want to move on from him, Juergens or the other guy looks like Zeke Coral might be someone to pay attention to in terms of center. And then offensive line wise, Blake Brandel, I guess. See if he does. Okay, I think he's going to stick around because he's a veteran. He can play both outside and inside. So I'm assuming he's going to stick around. And then receiver, it's going to be interesting because now Addison's suspended for the first 3 games. Jefferson's coming off a mild hamstring injury is what the Vikings are saying. They're not going to tell. It's preseason, so they're not going to tell you if it's serious or not. But he was seen like sprinting onto the practice field the other day. So I think he's going to be okay.
How's Rondale Moore?
Right. I'm gonna. Oh, Rondale Moore. He's been playing since day one. He avoided the PUP list, which I think was kind of a surprise because nobody really was sure about his knee injury that he suffered last year, causing him to miss the whole season for the Falcons. But he's he's. I don't think there's anything that's like stood out about him, but he hasn't done anything that's been bad either. Jalen Naylor's put on a couple more pounds. He's in a contract year, so he's probably trying to look to make some impressions and make some big money next season. So I think he's going to be eyeing that number 2 receiver role with Addison out the first 3 games, at least coming up. Ty Felton could maybe squeeze in there too, depending on how well he's able to do these next couple of weeks. And Jefferson. I don't think we're going to see Jefferson probably until after the Vikings have joint practices next week against the Patriots. I'm going to assume that they're going to keep him out until after that because they can't really control what the Patriots players do in those practices. Because if you put Jefferson against the Patriots defense, they're going to do everything, and it's Justin Jefferson. They're trying to make a team too. They're going to try and stop him no matter what, like whether they're holding him. It's training camp too.
It's like a preseason game.
What are they going to do? Get a penalty in training camp? Like they don't care.
No.
So I would expect him to be back after those joint practices next week.
So so we know the 5 receivers for sure. So then what's the battle for with that last spot or 2?
I would say Tim Jones, who I think was brought in for mainly special teams reasons. He's a veteran who's been around doing special team stuff. Lucky Jackson has made a couple I guess sparks in camp. There's been some highlights of him connecting well with JJ McCarthy. I believe he played.
He's been here for 3 years. Wow.
Yeah, I believe he's played in the XFL or UFL, one of those leagues that no longer exists anymore.
Is that where the Vikings picked him up from?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's Lucky Jackson, then Deshaun Jones is another one who has been doing well in camp when it comes to reps. And then Silas Bolden, who's an undrafted receiver out of Texas this year, rookie. He looks, from everything that's being reported, he looks like someone who his best shot is probably making it as a punt returner because that
Okay.
job is still open for the Vikings right now. So he might be able to sneak in there as a returner.
Okay. So there you
So
go. So if you had a
it'll those last fifth and sixth. I think the Vikings
yeah.
have kept 6 receivers. I want to say every year under Kevin O'Connell. So that's and with Addison out, I'm sure they'll keep one of their own guys. A lot of people have said they should go sign like another free agent receiver with Addison out. I'm like,
For 3
it's
games?
it's
Come
3 games
on.
and we're a
Relax.
month away.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's Brandon Powell. Brandon Powell could be someone who could come in because he's been with the team for the
Yeah.
last 2 years. He knows Kevin O'Connell's system. He was with him with the Rams. He returned punts for the Vikings the last 2 years. So he's someone who could come in and help right away. But I would think that would probably only happen if someone got injured. So that's possible, but I think they're going to try and stick with who they got.
Hey, well, this is what these preseason games and practices are for, to get these receivers up
Yep.
to speed, to see if it shouldn't be too big of an issue to miss your receiver for just a few games. So, okay. Defensively, biggest camp battles. By the way, how's Hargrave and Allen coming along? I know they were banged up last year.
They're monsters. They're destroying everyone basically on the offensive. Like part of the reason it's been so hard to evaluate JJ McCarthy in camp for a lot of people there is because this defense has just been so relentless when it comes to like the defensive line, the edge rushers. Brian Flores doesn't, put on the brakes in camp. He gasses, foot is on the pedal. Like, because 2 years ago, Cousins complained about Flores and his defense, like, not holding up. Last year, Darnold struggled. So this year, it's McCarthy's turn. And O'Connell's come out and been like, well, if they don't want to struggle, then the offense needs to do better. So, like, but I talked on my podcast, the Viking Age podcast, recently about how, like, are we sure that this defense that McCarthy's facing isn't already the best defense he's going to face all year? So, like, when he goes into week 1 against the Bears, like, it could be a cakewalk for him compared to what he's been facing the last few weeks. So
that's true.
I think this defense has probably been the story of Vikings camp. Kind of, obviously people are going to pay attention to JJ McCarthy, but with the defense, I think it's been the most impressive thing of training camp so far.
So what was who did they lose that would be, or did they lose anybody that
Cameron Bynum? They lost Cameron Bynum.
Okay.
Safety.
And they replaced him, which they really haven't replaced him then.
Theo Jackson. He's been with the team for the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And they've always been high on him.
They have Theo Jackson.
They just extended him during the offseason too.
Okay.
For like just 2 or 3. But this will be his first year as a starter for the Vikings. And then,
so you got Theo Jackson right now as a starter.
Oh yeah.
Over who?
Well, they kind of run like Josh Metellus is like kind of a hybrid safety linebacker kind of.
Yeah, that's true.
So like he's not a traditional safety. So I would put Theo Jackson, Harrison Smith, and Josh Metellus. I think those guys are probably going to be on the field a lot together. Because the Vikings also like to play a lot of nickel. But they lost Bynum, they lost Stephon Gilmore, they lost Shaquille Griffin. So they're 2 starting corners. So now Byron Murphy's moved. I don't know if they're going to still have him play mainly on the inside or have him play more outside. But he's been doing that. They signed Isaiah Rodgers from the Eagles, who sounds like he's pretty much got the number 2 spot locked down. Seems like he's got that going. They signed Jeff Okudah from the Texans last year, I think. Former number 3 overall pick of the Lions.
Yeah, that's how you.
Yeah. Former. There's a famous tweet or post, that goes like, if someone mentions you first as like a former first round pick, it means you're not that good. But he's been looking good. It sounds like he's got the edge for the number 3 corner spot, and there's Mekhi Blackman too, who's in the mix, who I think needs to show some things in the preseason and maybe the joint practices to move up on the depth chart. And then Dwight McLaughlin has been someone who's stood out. He's a undrafted second-year guy. cornerback. He's had a couple interceptions in practice, and he's looked pretty good. So he's someone that's probably on track to make this final roster.
Okay, so we'll get into that too, because it sounds like there are definitely some under the radar
Oh yeah,
players that we need to
there's
familiarize
not a lot of
ourselves with.
spots up for grabs with the Vikings, I would say, but depth wise is really where you're gonna. There's not going to be any surprise starters, I don't think, for this team.
Okay, let's take a look then. Starting on offense, so we've already gone through some of these things, but overall, all right, I got to ask you about quarterback because that's something that is going to be important
Why?
regarding that number 2 spot. And you probably know where I'm going here because I just did an interview yesterday with Kevin Knight from the Falcoholic.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Here you go.
So I was asking him all sorts of questions regarding where do you think Cousins is going to go, and anyway, so is that a possibility?
Personally, I want nothing to do with him anymore. He's gone. Got rid of him. Let him go. Like I've been watching season 2 of Quarterback, whatever, on Netflix, and watching it from like the outside perspective of him on another team just makes me realize even more about like how different he is as like his approach to the game compared to JJ McCarthy, where McCarthy is super optimistic. What if he struggled in camp, he immediately, like in press conferences, if he's asked about it, talks about it as like a learning experience. Like he's super glass half full in that way. Where Cousins, there was like a game last year, I think they won by like a field goal, and they won the game, but he was just angry after the game because he didn't play well enough or whatever. And it's like, dude, this is the NFL.
Are you talking about his final year in Minnesota?
No, in Atlanta last year.
Oh, with Atlanta. Okay.
Yeah, so they won a game, but he didn't play. Like they didn't convert on third down or whatever to like just seal
and that
the
was
game.
like his big issue, and that was
Yeah,
like
and
his storyline for the game.
And they won the game, and he was just pouting, and it's just he has more, I would say, of a negative energy than already McCarthy, it seems. And
do you think that the front office and the coaching staff at Minnesota agree with you?
I would say Kevin O'Connell would take him back in a heartbeat. I would think that that would be more on the front office if they want to welcome that, because then you welcome, what if McCarthy's struggling?
Sure.
And then you got fans going, put Cousins in. He already knows the offense and stuff. He could do it. So, like, do you really want that going on the entire season? Because that's what would happen. Like, whether you think it's not going to or not, it's going to happen. So, like,
I guess if he stays with Atlanta and nobody has any serious injuries before the season begins, and he's still on the team the last week before the trade deadline, that's enough of an opportunity maybe to find out, hey, do you think JJ's the man? And for some reason, it looks like he's struggling more than you thought. Then that could be an opportunity right there.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think Kirk Cousins is really like the only one who doesn't want him in Atlanta. I think Atlanta wants him there because Penix's injury history is not that great.
They're not giving him away.
No.
Yeah, it's got to be for a good deal. Yeah, and they want a deal. Yeah.
His cap number, I think, is $27 million. I'm sure the Falcons would probably have to pay a lot of that.
Yep. In order to get some sort of compensation. That's not like a seventh rounder.
I don't know. I just that's a can of worms I really don't want to open again.
I agree with you.
Of course, I would love to write about it and cover it.
Yeah, right. That would be.
But for my own personal sanity, I would just rather not and just move on with JJ.
Do your job, JJ.
Yeah.
Let's not worry about that. Let's see here. We've got offensive question.
So this is Ty Chandler. I mentioned that earlier that he's not having a bad training camp, but he's not really doing anything to stand out either, where it sounds like Xavier Scott, the guy who seems like he's number 4 on the depth chart right now, he's the one who's making the most of his opportunities. And so I think these preseason games and joint practices will be key for Ty Chandler. If he wants to make the team, he's really going to have to step up his play and show that he can make a difference. Because like we said, Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason are probably going to get a lot of
Yep.
those touches. So that third running back spot is going to be pretty expendable in terms of like you don't really need someone who has probably maybe even reached their ceiling already. You want to maybe have a younger guy there who can
Yeah.
potentially grow even more.
Because he was
So
what Xavier being in Maine, that's an FCS program. It's going to
yeah,
take him a couple of years
right.
to adapt.
So
So yeah.
so he would have more upside, I feel like, at this point in his career than Ty Chandler would.
And I know Trey Stewart had put up some good numbers, but even though it was
Yeah.
FBS, but it was at Jacksonville State, he's not a big bodied guy. Is he in the mix as well?
Yeah, there hasn't been too much to come out about him, so I don't want to like speak out
Okay.
of turn, but I feel like the preseason is probably his best shot right now to show something. That seemed to be where a lot of running backs in the past, like of his like undrafted rookie nature, were the preseason is where they were really able to stand out. So if he can make some plays, then
Yeah.
he'll get more opportunities. So definitely he's someone to keep an eye on for sure on Saturday.
Okay. So taking a look now. So you think that Naylor, what kind of a player do you have? Do you have faith that Naylor, from what you've seen, can take some sort of next step?
Oh, you back?
Oh, okay. I thought for a second that maybe you were contemplating that question. Just a little
Yeah,
too
I was
hard.
just really thinking about it.
Yeah.
About Naylor. Can you just
Yeah.
repeat the question?
Do you think there's another step in his game? Has he reached the ceiling, or do you think that, hey, you know what? I there's something about what I saw last year that I think there's more.
I mean, he was better last year. Addison was out a couple games too with like an ankle injury. I think I remember. Um, but he was a 6th-round pick for a reason.
Yeah, sure.
He dropped a couple passes where they probably should have had last year, and I think there's been some instances of that in camp. But he's also made some plays in camp this year with Jefferson being out. But it's clear there's a big difference on the field when Jefferson's not out there and it's just Naylor and Addison, especially with
Yeah,
Hawkinson out too. It's not as easy to find guys that are open for McCarthy when he's got Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen breathing down his neck. Thank God they can't really sack him because he might not be walking at this point.
oh yeah,
But with Naylor though, yeah, like this is kind of it. Like it's contract year. If he wants to continue his career, which I think he would still after this year, but if he wants to make a decent amount of money moving forward, I think he needs to step things up. And it sounds like he's added on some muscle in the off season to keep himself, on the field. So it's all about, it seems simple, but it's got to catch the ball.
yeah.
So,
That's important.
so I think it's helped though for him to get these reps though with Jefferson out.
Absolutely.
It'll help him with McCarthy and getting used to McCarthy's throwing because I know there's reports out there from some people that McCarthy doesn't have a strong arm, but from everyone who's been at camp, he's footballs are flying out of his hands like missiles, basically. Where like they have to tell him to like ease up on throwing too hard out there rather than throw a little harder.
Yeah, he wasn't a 5-star quarterback for nothing. So
Right.
they don't hand out those 5 stars.
And I'm pretty sure he has the combine record for like throwing velocity behind like Josh Allen and Joe Milton. So
yeah, I think the one thing that he needs to improve upon, no doubt, because he just didn't have time in a way to develop that at college, was his deep passing game.
Yep.
And I don't know whether or not you've noticed anything there. It's too early, but
yeah, he's had a couple of good deep balls in practice. Couple to Addison, who's always been really good going deep. But I think throwing deep to Jefferson and Addison is pretty good luxury to have compared to some other quarterbacks in the league. I think Sam Darnold's gonna be pretty sad he's not throwing to those two guys anymore this year.
Yeah, I think so.
So that'll help for sure. But yeah, that's definitely something to work on. And then you remember that he's I want to say 23. Maybe not even. So
He's a pup.
he's got plenty to work on, and that's something. Yeah, 2003. Oh my God,
22.
Oh my God.
And he's already won a national championship,
Yeah,
and he missed a year in the NFL.
yeah. So, and he's gonna be a dad in September. So,
Wow. Well, he's
yeah.
got security, so
Oh yeah,
yeah, his wife needs something to preoccupy herself while he's playing football.
yeah. He'll be good.
Okay, so have you heard anything about Felton? I know Felton being a third-round draft pick, and with this opportunity there, I would guess that
Yeah,
most teams would want to see something out of that third rounder. So is that a player that might be able to take advantage of this
yeah.
situation?
I think he can. It just depends on how they use him in the offense. He is someone who's really good with getting the ball or making guys miss after he gets the ball in his hands. And I think in order for him to have success, the Vikings would have to like kind of adjust things to help him do that. Same thing kind of with Rondell Moore, where like these guys are more speedy guys who can just cut across the middle and just get that quick pass and make some moves and make some guys miss. In terms of how he's done in camp, I haven't heard anything bad about him, so I'm going to
Okay,
assume that that's always good. Usually, that's how it goes in camp, especially with offensive linemen. If you haven't heard anything bad about them, that's usually
true.
good. Um,
And we'll see
but
him this
yeah,
weekend.
Ty Felton, I would think so, unless he's hurt, and
Yeah.
then he's in the running too. I think possibly for punt returner. Just depends on how much of a role they want him to have on offense.
Yeah, unless
Um,
you're like one of those big time veterans. If JJ McCarthy on offense, if JJ McCarthy's out there, there are going to be some talented players out there.
they don't want to give him nothing. I would with Addison suspended now, I would actually assume he's probably going to play on Saturday. To
That's
be
a
out
good
there
point. Yeah,
with McCarthy because he's gonna need those reps.
that'll be interesting. That's not bad, especially and JJ needs somebody out there that has
Yeah,
explosive ability and is a veteran. Yeah, so that is something to keep an eye on.
yeah.
Okay. Um, Give me a break. Give me a breakout player on offense. Give me one player on offense. Doesn't
Wow.
have to be a skill position player, but one player, a veteran, holdover, that you think could take another step in his game, like a Naylor, but could be anybody.
Oh, I don't know. This wouldn't really be like a full scale breakout, but I feel like Josh Oliver could step his game up in terms of receiving this year. I feel like for the Vikings, they just extended him again, or they signed him a couple years ago and they extended him this year. He's been he's ranked as like PFF's #1 blocking tight end the last few years. So that's really his strength. But he caught a bunch of passes in college, and he caught a bunch when Hawkinson was out last year. And in college, JJ McCarthy was, he threw to his tight ends a lot. So I feel like
That he did.
the Vikings this year, they've said they want to be more physical, so that means they're probably going to run more, two tight end sets, some bigger packages. So I feel like maybe in the red zone, in short yardage situations, that Oliver could be someone where like you think he's in there to block, and then he kind of just peeks out of there and grabs a pass and takes it a few yards. So I think
Okay.
Oliver's got a chance to just step up his game as a receiver even more this year. He's more than
And
84, so you kind of have no excuse to not be able to catch and
it's
play
not a
good
bad
with 84.
little that's not a bad little sleeper maybe fantasy player to keep an
Yeah,
eye on if you need to pick someone
especially
up,
with
or
Hawkinson. Hawkinson, it sounds like he's okay, but it's a year and a half after the ACL, and then it sounds like he tweaked something on Saturday, but he should be okay. But still, you want to have like that insurance policy for him
yeah,
too, probably.
and if you got a
And
big enough roster,
tight ends in fantasy, there's like what, like 5 guys at the top, and then the rest is just like
yeah,
roll the dice,
that's why
pretty
it's very
much.
rare yeah, it's very rare to have like a second tight end on your
Yeah,
fantasy team,
you
but hey,
don't.
if you got room,
You're not getting what do they call when you get a running back and you get like their backup, a handcuff. You're not getting a tight end handcuff for many
no,
guys.
no, doesn't work that way. No. All right, defense. And again, you mentioned Hargrave and Allen.
Yeah.
So that's great news. So again, it's sort of like what we were talking about before. So what's the why do you think you're seeing the defense look as good as they've looked so far? Any particular reason?
Well, it's Flores' third year, so and a lot of guys have been here all 3 years. Metellus, Harrison Smith, Harrison Phillips, Byron Murphy, Van Ginkel was with Flores in Miami,
That's
so he
right.
knew the system. Ivan Pace, so like there isn't really a whole lot for these guys to learn in terms of the scheme. It's more about just like trying different things, and they have so much. They've built so much chemistry within these last few years that like they just kind of know what one another is going to do. They can just kind of look at the other and without even saying anything of like,
Yep.
hey, you go over here, I'll go over here. So like that's something that I don't think happens as much in the NFL this year with so many free agent turnover
That's
and
true.
coaching turnover.
That's right.
Like what Lou Anarumo, was he with the Bengals for? He was with them for like a few years, right?
Oh, he was with
Before,
them for as long as their head coach was.
right?
So that was about
So
what, five
that
five
was
years or
yeah.
so. Yeah.
But with Flores, I feel like they've just been in this system for so long. A lot of these guys are also like Grenard and Van Ginkel. They've been kind of like underrated their entire career and not really regarded as some of the best players in the league. So they kind of always have this chip on their shoulder. Metellus too, he's a 6th-round pick, special teams guy to begin his career with. Now he just got an extension. Byron Murphy, a lot of these guys Ivan Pace, undrafted guy. They just have a lot to prove, and I feel like if this defense doesn't rank in terms of I want to say DVOA because that seems like the measure that a lot of people use for defense in terms of like strength overall. If they're not a top 5 DVOA defense this year, I'd be very surprised.
So good fantasy defense then too.
Yeah, I was just like I don't ever play. Yeah, but then I remember that the whole thing is like defense special teams
Yes.
together.
Yeah. So
Yes, they do generate a lot of turnovers and sacks, so I
yeah.
would definitely pick this as my fantasy defense.
What about those two rookies? Have you heard anything yet?
Kobe King has been getting run with the second team, so over Brian Asamoah, who started a fight with Will Fries in practice on Saturday. So he's not doing good for someone who's in the last year of his contract. And then Tyrion Ingram Dawkins? I haven't heard too much about him just because I've heard so much about Allen Hargrave and even Harrison Phillips and Dallas Turner has really been like the big story of camp
Okay.
of how much better he looks this year compared to last year, and how much bigger he looks. Like he's put on some muscle and weight in the offseason too. So
Another young player.
He seems in line to have a good season, and he's going to be like a rotational guy. So like that's why I think this defense is going to be so good because like they're not only good like with the starters, like when you have Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, and Harrison Phillips as like guys you can just rotate on the defensive line, and then you have someone like Dallas Turner who you can also just put in a position, situational role. Like that gives you just so many options with the defense, and then you have someone like Josh Metellus who can pretty much line up anywhere. Obviously, Harrison Smith could probably run this defense with his eyes closed. He's just been in the league for so long. The only concern is really cornerbacks, and they've looked pretty decent in camp. But I'm curious to see how they look in the joint practices next week against the Patriots because that'll probably be a big test.
Yeah, that is definitely on paper. It looks to be the big question mark because I mean Rodgers did a really nice job last year for the Eagles. I think that was unexpected. So hopefully there's carryover. And like you said, Okudah, until he goes out there in the regular season and plays 80% of the season, we don't want to push it. And he is productive. Nobody's looking for him to be a top 5 guy, but just be productive, be a good starter. Until that happens, that's a big question mark. So what do you think about the depth overall too? I mean, do you think that is there somebody that, I mean, this is it, right? Is there someone we're missing? Is there a possibility that they're going to make a move to bring in another corner? Or
I think someone would have to get hurt because that's what happened last year with Mekhi Blackman. He got hurt, and then they signed Gilmore after that. So, and obviously Kyrie Jackson tragically passed away in that car accident too. So
Yeah.
they weren't obviously preparing for that. So unless someone gets hurt, I think this is the crew they're going to roll with. Tavier Thomas is someone who I think they brought in mainly for special teams, so he could kind of just sneak on the roster there, unless they really feel like one of the younger guys can also contribute on special teams. Um, Eric Wilson is, I think, a sneaky addition this year because he started his career with the Vikings as a
Yeah.
undrafted free agent,
Nice story.
and then went and played for the Packers, and then the Saints too, I think, for a little bit. And now he's back, and it's pretty much known that he's going to be probably mostly a special teams guy, and to have someone like that who's like been in the league for so long on special teams, I think is huge. Gabriel Murphy seems to be making a couple plays here and there. Edge rusher who was injured for most of last year, undrafted rookie out of UCLA, and Bo Richter as well, and Levi Drake Rodriguez has been making some plays too this year, 7th-round pick, and Jalen Redmond as well, who they re-signed this year, and he was like one of the, I think he ranked first on the team in run defense grade for PFF last year, so he was a pleasant surprise last year and someone that could definitely help them out this year too. I don't think
Is that is,
he's in danger of getting cut or anything.
is that the kid that came from one of those summer?
Yep, yep, yep. He was with, I don't know,
Yeah,
UFL DC Defenders. I
yeah.
there's some good talent out there, but you got to do what you got to
Oh,
do.
absolutely. Yeah, no question. Again, I just think that cornerback spot, that's the only thing that
Yeah.
is there any way is Gilmore a possibility at all?
I think they would have to. I think things would have to go like really bad in the preseason for that to happen. And they're playing the Texans this weekend. I'm trying to think who their backup. Who's their back? Oh no, Case Keenum's not there anymore. He went to the Bears.
Yeah, they've got the two backups, and also Mertz, who they drafted.
Okay.
Yeah, they got a couple of guys,
and they got some young receivers. So if the Texans, run up the score on the Vikings this weekend in the preseason, and then it's a bunch of passing touchdowns, then yeah, I think they might be going to look for some guys. Who do they got?
Davis Mills.
Oh, Davis Mills. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And Mertz will get a lot of time. So
yeah.
And they got the two rookie receivers, so they're gonna probably, you would think they're gonna get time.
Yeah, at least a little bit, yeah. And then Dwight McLaughlin is someone who's been having a good camp. He's an undrafted rookie from last year. Zemiah Vaughn is someone who's been standing out. He's an undrafted rookie this year. Out of Nebraska, I want to say.
Okay.
He's like a longer, kind of lankier corner. Actually, like his frame is similar to Kyrie Jackson. So I think that's like what Brian Flores kind of wants in his toolbox, is to have like all these versatile different corners that he can use. Like Byron Murphy's more of a shorter guy. Like someone like Zemiah Vaughn has really long arms and can just like hang with tight ends or receivers. So he's someone that's stood out. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see in the preseason how these guys do, because it is the big question mark of the defense. But I think that if the front seven stays relatively healthy, you're not really going to have to worry too much about the play of the cornerbacks.
Yeah, they just can't be awful. Yeah, as long as they're healthy and they don't have to go too deep into the lineup. But okay, so you mentioned several players that anyone outside of Minnesota have no idea who these guys are. So give me the guys that who's, as far as a pecking order of who you think has the best chance of breaking through from those young guys that you mentioned.
I would say Dwight McLaughlin's probably leading the pack, is like in terms of someone who, I don't even know if he's on the bubble anymore, just because he's played so well in training camp. They just needed to see more of him.
Okay.
Because he didn't get a lot of playing time last year. I think he's probably locked up a spot. Like I mentioned, Jalen Redmond. I'm not worried about him. Levi Drake,
just the secondary guys. Let's stick with those.
Oh, secondary. Okay, yeah. Zemiah Vaughn, I think, has an outside shot definitely to make the team, if not the practice squad. And and then he might be someone that they might want to keep on the roster to avoid somebody signing him to go on the practice squad. Jay Ward, I've seen some reports of him making some plays in camp, so he might. I think his spot is safe.
Okay.
4th round pick 2 years ago.
But you think Blackman, that's iffy?
No, I think he makes it.
You do.
I think he does. I mean,
and Thomas is a special teams guy too, isn't he?
Yeah. So they might. It's gonna like.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for how they're going to fit.
53 is going to be probably tough to figure out. They might only keep. That's something where like maybe you only keep 2 quarterbacks on the 53 because you can keep one on the practice squad now, I think, and then they can be on the active roster. So maybe they keep 6 corners, but I don't know. I don't know what Flores wants to do because he's a mad scientist back there, so he just trusts whatever he thinks is right.
Okay, but the guy out of these no names, the one that you really think has the best chance to make a name for himself is McLaughlin.
Oh, definitely, yeah, for sure.
I
think if Okudah doesn't do much, I think maybe by halfway in the season we could see McLaughlin playing like a significant role.
Okay, so do you think he has just as good as a chance, if not better, than Blackman?
I think they want Blackman on the team regardless of probably how he performs this year because I want to say he started some games as a rookie, but then he tore his ACL last year, and I think they just want to give him
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they just want to see if he can get back to the way he was, which is tough sometimes to tear your knee up. So
absolutely,
especially corner when you got to like a corner tearing his ACL is a lot different than it's Christian Darrisaw tearing his ACL, who's going back and forth, where a corner's like all over the place. So
yeah, and you invest in that pick as well,
and he's friends with Jordan Addison, so
you got to keep buddies.
Him. Yeah. Maybe he can keep him out of trouble.
Hopefully. Yeah, well, I hope so. Tyler Batty, very good edge rusher for BYU. And some of those free agents, those CFAs in the front 7, any of them sticking out? Any of them have a shot to make the team?
I think Batty does because of his edge rushing ability. Last I heard of him, he was in the part of the scrum that they got a little fight on Saturday in practice of get a little chippy in practice and pads. It happens. So he was part of that, being a little physical. But that's what Kevin O'Connell wants this year. He wants his team to be more physical, and I think he even commented yesterday that part of him would be lying if he didn't say he kind of enjoyed that when they got into a little scuffle on Saturday. So
is that more for the offense? Because I can't imagine Brian Flores' defense. Really, I'm surprised at Brian Flores.
Well, the trenches, I would say.
Okay.
With Hargrave and Allen being in there, those guys kind of seem like kind of no nonsense kind of guys. Where like you don't really want to mess with them.
That'll help. Yes.
So I think Batty does. I think Elijah Williams is someone who's been talked about recently, undrafted. I want to say Morgan State.
Wow.
So he's someone who's looked pretty well with his opportunities. And I want to say Chaz Chambliss just came off the PUP list probably maybe like a week or a week and a half ago.
Okay.
So I haven't heard too much about him. But a lot of these guys, preseason will be key for a lot of these guys because that's really where there's I don't know how many spots are up for grabs on this roster. Maybe a little more than a handful because I think they've got a lot of this sorted out because a lot of guys are returning from last year. So
well, I mean, just taking a look at once you get past the 2 deep, there's a lot of guys that I can see here, a lot of young guys.
Yeah.
A lot of, first, second year guys, a lot of free agent guys, late round picks.
They also only had 4 draft picks or 5 draft picks this year. I think 4 because they traded one for Sam Howell. Or they have 5?
4.
They had
Bartholomew.
Jackson, Ty Felton,
5.
Bartholomew. Okay, yeah.
3 on offense and 2 on defense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They only had 5 draft. They had 9. I think they had 19 UDFAs this year.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
A lot of these guys will be hanging out on the practice squad, which isn't terrible. So
No, I mean, if you develop, which they do,
I'll go in the practice squad. I'll take that.
yeah, I'm sure you will. Are they trying to upgrade at punter? I know it's a sexy position, but
Yeah. I don't. I haven't heard too much about one standing out from the other. Punting's like it's hard to tell. I feel like in camp, it's more. I think the bigger concern would probably be, is Ryan Wright like a problem as a holder, because Will Reichert has had he's missed a handful of kicks in practice this year, a couple 30-yarders too. So not
oh,
like
okay,
not the best. And I don't know, like, because this is training camp practice. We don't have any idea
sure,
what the coaches are telling them. Like maybe the special teams coach is like, hey, aim for the right goalpost or something, and try and hit that or something. Even like with McCarthy stuff, we're like just throwing to the blitz no matter what. Like, who cares if you get
yeah,
picked 6 times and ESPN writes like you're a bust already?
yeah.
Just do it.
It's like minor league baseball
Yeah, it's great.
stats.
Who cares?
You don't know what the hell you're looking at.
But
Yeah,
people still keep track of them.
they
Keep
do.
track of those completion numbers. I've been seeing. I know one guy in on the Minnesota beat does, Judd Zolgad, but he does it more just to keep track. He's not like, he knows that certain things are the goal line or red zone, and it's more of like, because I think Justin Fields the last couple of days has gone like 4 for 16, and it's like, well, okay, all right, if he's doing that, then that's probably something to worry about rather than going 9 for 9 in the red zone. So
Yeah, it's like all this. It's like what's going on in Cleveland with
yeah,
the four
yeah,
quarterbacks.
they have their. I've seen a daily like passing chart floating around
Yeah.
somewhere. It's like, okay, like, can we get some context here?
Yeah.
They're not splitting reps at the 50-yard line.
Well, we're going to see a lot of those guys those young guys in the
We
preseason in
are.
Cleveland. That's for sure. So
Yeah,
that's what we'll find out.
yeah.
Give me a breakout player on defense, just like we did on offense.
I think Dallas Turner. I think it's taking the easy way out.
That's a good one,
He's a
though.
first round pick, but
Sure. 7-8 sack season.
Yeah, definitely. He's a young kid. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's younger than McCarthy, so like
Couple months.
he had a lot to learn coming out of Alabama last year. I know.
Yep.
I know he said like in the beginning, like Florida's defense isn't that much different than what he was doing at Alabama, but
Yeah.
it is.
It's the NFL, buddy.
It's much different. Yeah, like guys, he put on a lot of weight, so I think he probably realized like, hey, guys are like grown men in the NFL. Like
Yeah.
you gotta be able to hang with them. But he's been someone I feel like that, like every time I read a training camp report, it's like Dallas Turner does this, Dallas Turner does that. So like I think
Okay.
he's gonna impress a lot of people this year, and that'll make I don't want to say Grenard or Van Ginkel expendable, but
No,
it might happen.
you need 3 pass rushers. Absolutely.
Yeah, you do. In this day
Because
and age, you definitely do.
even if you have an injury, I mean, really,
Yeah.
who's 4?
Right.
I mean, do they have a 4?
Probably Gabriel Murphy or Bo Richter.
Yeah, I mean, and again, just like I was saying with some of the guys in the secondary, who are these guys?
Right.
So has one of these again the second year? So have one of them?
They've Richter and Murphy have both been making plays in training camp. So I expect at least one of them to make the active roster, if not both. So I think,
Wow, both of
but
them.
none of the rookie edge rushers have done much, I don't think, from last I've seen.
That's good. That's either really good scouting and development.
Oh yeah,
or really bad scouting and development. But I know it's good.
So. Oh well, yeah, I would say the reputation of this Vikings front office is really good in free agency, really good with UDFAs, and with the draft. And the jury's still out in the draft too, because McCarthy could be good, Dallas Turner could be good, Jordan Addison is good. Mekhi Blackson tore his ACL. 2022 class, we don't need to talk about that.
Okay. Everybody has a bad draft.
That was a really bad draft.
Even New England has some bad drafts.
Like, that was bad. That might be one of the worst in their history. And this is coming from a team that drafted Troy Williamson in the first round.
Oh, Troy
After
Williamson. I don't even remember that.
after trading Randy Moss away. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Okay.
went
Yeah.
there.
I don't think Viking fans need to hear that again.
No, they don't.
All right. Nose tackle. Just like I said with Murphy and Richter, who are these guys? And are they making the team? Are they just there until they find someone better?
Jalen Redmond, we talked about a lot already. I think he's a lock.
Yeah, he's a lock. And is he the only, besides the rookie, you got Redmond, you got the three here.
Yeah.
Who else is making the team?
I think it's probably going to be between probably Levi Drake Rodriguez and Taki Taimani. Both made the active roster last year. And then I think Elijah Williams is just that underdog kind of under the radar guy who could maybe even sneak in and take one of those guys' spots. So I think maybe they keep 6 linemen this year. Maybe 7 if they feel like they need more depth with their veterans. But yeah, Levi Drake Rodriguez has been getting some good reviews in camp, and Taki Taimani, he's been doing well as well. And then yeah, like I said, Elijah Williams is someone just to keep an eye on, because there's been a bunch of stuff coming out of camp about how he's been impressive.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no doubt, and I've been doing a lot of depth chart.
Oh yeah,
research, and I honestly don't think there's a team out there in the NFL, especially a good team, that has this many CFAs that not only can make the team, but have made the team and are developing. It's just, again, I think that's I love that. And I think that says an awful lot about who's running this.
A lot of it's Brian Flores. A lot of it is him.
Really?
Like he was a scout. He began his career as a scout with the Patriots, slowly moved his way up. He had a big input on who they added to their defense when he was running things over there. Went to Miami, built that defense up, and had spent a year with the Steelers, and then came over to the Vikings, and he's been able to build this in the last 3 years. And yeah, he knows what he wants, and whether it's undrafted guy, a free agent who people might not be eyeing on, like Isaiah Rodgers. I don't think a whole lot of people going into last year had the Vikings zeroing in on Andrew Van Ginkel and Blake Cashman as 2 of their top free agent targets, and those turned out to be pretty good.
And those are good players. Yeah.
So he just more of like he knows what guys fit in his system rather than just.
That's like a Belichick trope too.
Yeah,
that's
don't get guys that don't like fit the puzzle piece. Just what works well in your defense, and go get the guys that can do that the best.
That definitely helps the general manager, no question about it. To have someone like that that can help mold his.
Well, the only year he wasn't there is the 2022 draft, and just about all those guys are gone. Andrew Booth, second round pick.
Good
Louis
one.
Cine, first round pick. He's gone.
Who's the real general manager here?
Yeah. That was there's a lot a lot of factors that went into that draft for sure. It being
again, we'll give
3 months after the GM got hired, but yeah,
everybody deserves a mulligan.